Hi everyone, so Kieren and Ben here from Elite Rugby SandC for episode 3. So first off, if you haven't already, definitely sign up and join the Elite Rugby SandC community and take your game to the next level. Please find the link below to do that. You can try before you buy, so we do have a 7-day trial, and that gives you a nice little taste of what we have to offer here at Elite Rugby SandC. So make sure you like and subscribe to this video and join our community and become a beast today. So g'day, Ben, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, Kieren. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going really well, thanks. So today we're going to be discussing upper body training, as all rugby athletes love to train a bit of upper body, as we know.
Yep, they definitely do. And do they do it well, and do they do it at the right frequency? Yeah, interesting question.
Yes. So with upper body strength and power, we know it's really important for athletes, but what makes this important for, like, how important it is for you programming it correctly?
Yeah, well, that's probably the key. So correctly is keeping everything in balance in your upper body, because at the end of the day, nothing is more powerful and strong than someone with a very healthy shoulders and upper back, and also core that works well together. So the healthier you can make shoulders, the stronger they will be. If you don't make them healthy along the way, no matter if you get strength in a certain area, you're going to expose yourself to some of those little niggling injuries that actually eat away at you. So designing strength programs is really important. It's not just, I can bench this much, I can chin this much, all my strength problems are solved for the rest of my life in my upper body. It doesn't work that way.
So designing a gym program for upper body for rugby athletes, what are the key aspects are you focusing on as a coach? Because a lot of people will just sort of go down that bodybuilding realm and just focus on one body part. Is that similar to what you've done in the past, or is it a whole different thing?
Yeah, really good question. And it's probably something that sort of transition to in the elite world. Sometimes we used to have focus on posterior and anterior, or a push day or a pull day, but never assume that you're actually going to get your players to the next session. They might have some little niggle from rugby training that rules them out. So I like to think of, if they finish a training session, if you've done upper body, you've got to have worked everything there so that upper body is in a really good balanced position. So I wouldn't do, say, like a shoulder day, a chest day, and a back day. That just wouldn't happen. The only caveat I'll put to that is if someone's got some anterior shoulder pain and they can't do any pushing on that day because of a niggle, that would be the only day where you'd focus on a little bit more pull as the only thing that you would do. But I'd like to do it, and I'm not sure, I'll ask you the same question back, having that whole upper body done in a way where the ratios of push to pull and external rotation and scapular work and setting, and actually even postural alignment, is all done in that one setting. So what's your views on that?
Yeah, definitely agree. I like to target, pretty much everything and tick off all the boxes. And I really like what you just said. You don't know if you're getting that athlete again that week. Like, something could happen, a different schedule, game could be changed. Who knows what would happen? So if you're programmed correctly and ticked off all those boxes in your upper body program, then if something chaotic did happen, they've already ticked it off and they're not missing anything from that program. So yeah, I'll definitely focus on trying to hit all the body parts evenly, and just program it like that. I can't really say I would go down the bodybuilding realm. I've tried it myself. I didn't really enjoy it. So a big part of my programming as well is, well, if I've had a bad experience, I don't really want my athletes to have that bad experience either, and just sort of learn by doing myself. I think that's a big important part as a coach as well.
Yeah, I think as you, and we all go through it, where there's certain times in your life where you want to put on size and so forth. So most people out there have tried bodybuilding programs, but you'll quickly discover that you get a lot of anterior shoulder pain from actually, if you do a whole lot of push one day and then a whole lot of pull one day, the amount of volume that you expose to that connective tissue can be quite huge. So you start getting like tendons that run down the front of your shoulder start rubbing against each other because you've got bad posture, and you're just start overusing your shoulder, you almost become like a swimmer where they've got those swimming type shoulders that have really got some deep anterior shoulder pain because they're doing the one motion all the time. And that's where the bodybuilding volume on a body part, just like great, you get hypertrophy, but you don't get coordination and actually healthy shoulders out of it, which is, you know, for rugby, what we want is big and strong, and we want you to make tackles and actually clean out and be involved in rucks and still catch pass. So without, you know, that shoulder health that goes along with the size and strength, like there's no point. You're better off focusing on healthy shoulders and doing a bodybuilding program for sure.
And speaking of healthy shoulders, how are you programming to make your athletes have healthy shoulders? Are you focusing more on rotator cuff strength, or is there setting and just sort of the nitty gritty parts of that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It's almost depending on where someone sits. We're going to talk on a general person. So we're not talking about someone that's super kyphotic here or has some shoulder injury. Well, we're talking about someone that's fairly in a balanced position. Okay, it's currently set in. If they came in and they were kyphotic, then it would be a different conversation. So there's sort of ratios that you look for. So you're looking at a horizontal push to pull. So the ratios of exercises in that program would be 1-to-1, or maybe just a little bit more on the pull. Okay, and if you're looking at, are they in balance? Just say you had a bench press as your measure, you'd have a prone row as your measure. A lot of people say that, you know, it should be 1-to-1. Well, I haven't really seen that too often. I think if you hit 0.9 or 90% of your pull of what you can push, that's a really good healthy ratio. So as you push, getting your bench press strength up, or your push strength, your pull strength should be coming up in that same manner. So you keep trying to keep that ratio. So every basically push exercise as well, you probably make sure you've got the volume of external rotation work. And that could be rotator cuff where you're doing that, or quite dynamic work as well. Just keep making sure that ratio's there. Again, you probably with the vertical push to pull, you're looking at something very similar. Also, like chin-ups, you've got to remember your lats actually attach from the front, anterior side, so they can actually pull you down forward like that. So that's why if you're just looking at your bench to chin ratio, well, your pecs and your lats join on the anterior side, so you're actually pulling yourself down. So I know in a lot of programs, a lot of elite programs, they look at that and think they've got their ratios right, but that just adds to kyphosis. In terms of external rotation strength, I like the trying to aim for, so if you could bench press 100 on a bench, like our guys, everyone's going to get stronger than that. Your external rotation using dumbbells should be 10% of that for 10 reps. So say your goal eventually, and it's going to take you a while, you should be able to external rotate 10 kilos for 10 reps. And that just keeps that ratio quite healthy. There's research going up to long time ago where they just did external rotation for power lifters, and their benches went up because they were stable shoulders. So that's how basic you can make that there. And just making sure that the volume and intensity builds up over time. Like, you don't have to become Rome in a day. Like, you just have to slowly build up and make sure that, you know, that progress is pretty sensible. Also looking at some work around scap setting. So you think of a lot of our stuff, like if you're bench pressing or dumbbell bench pressing, you're actually locking your scaps in a lot of time on a bench, and they're not moving that well. So doing some work where you're actually getting some nice scapular gliding and giving your shoulder the ability to actually be stabilized in different positions, letting your scap do that as well. That keeps you healthy. Also making sure that you're doing some sort of range of motion stuff before and flexibility stuff afterwards. So if you've got really good flexibility in your upper body and your thoracic area, you're going to experience a lot less shoulder injuries because you're not jammed up like this. You can't raise your arms, and then you're just creating a lot more room. So when you are tackling and that type of stuff, you're not going to suffer some of those, you know, those bumps and bruises don't become chronic in some of the tissue that you use to lift. Probably a long explanation. and chuck some arms in after that's there, because you all need a supplement sponsor at some stage. Yeah, and how about you? What's your views on?
I think you answered that really well, because you gave us a really good sort of overview of the program. So I think you did a really good job on that. For me, it's really focusing on making sure the boys do a bit more pull compared to push, just because I don't see them all the time. So, and I know a lot of them love to bench press. And I remember one athlete just loves doing bench, and he just had those rounded shoulders a bit. So I'm always making sure that in our prehab, I'm targeting just the upper back in a different kind of way. It could be the banded pull aparts. It could be the different variations of going across the body, prone press, or some type of scap setting, or just the broomstick, as people say, dislocations. I don't like the word, but I just go just range of motion.
Let's call them range of motion.
Yeah, that's what I like to call it, because people like dislocations, like, whoa, I'm like, no, okay, it's just a range of motion. So and especially dealing with a lot of students as well, just really in that position. So I'm really making sure I'm trying to set those shoulders back and promote good posture. So I would say the main thing with my program is making sure that we're getting a good 2-to-1 on that push pull, and when we are doing our push, really making sure that the athletes are really set. They're not in that position and pushing in a weak position or compromising their shoulder by pushing like that on a bench press. It's really setting their shoulders so they're nice and strong as well. So those would be the main things that I would look at when programming sort of those ratios in a very simple simple terms.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why I put the caveat of that we're talking about someone in balance, and that's a small percentage of the population these days. So the fact that you're looking at more of the pull ratio because of people being kyphotic, that like you're not going to be like, you might bench a bit, but you're going to have sore shoulders, and you're not going to enjoy the contact involved in training eventually because of that anterior pain. And also, if you're really that way inclined, if you stick out your arm, like all of a sudden your pecs and your lats can become dislocation forces. So you don't, and that's something I probably put there. I rarely put flies in programs. I don't want people to feel strong reaching out. Okay, you want them arms in close to make sure that the contacts with their shoulders and their arms joining. If you make people feel strong where they can stick their arm out, that's a dangerous position. That's how people dislocate shoulders in a tackle competition. So you want to take away their confidence in feeling strong that way, so that they don't lead to reactions of doing that as well.
Totally. And it sort of takes a bit of time as well to get athletes out of that behavior of just sticking their arm out. And might have been something that they learned in juniors, they got in a lazy position, like, oh yeah, I can just stick my arm out and get it. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me around, I think I was 12 playing rugby league. Guy just beat me really easily, obviously, and I just stuck my arm out, and bang. I think it was a subluxation. So what wasn't good. And ever since then, just made sure that I didn't get myself in that position. And it's the same thing that you said, not training in that position either, and just making sure that we're in good, strong positions in the gym and we can build strength and power.
Yeah, and it's really important. Like they describe sometimes your shoulder, how it actually sits in. It's like a seal balancing the ball right on their nose. That's how much balance is involved. So the more deep tissue stuff where you can do rotator cuff and scap setting and rows where it actually creates stability in that joint, like then you actually start really expressing your true strength as well.
So for me, I focus on this quite a bit when programming for upper body as extras for my athletes, because the programming is, and just like Elite Rugby SandC, we got 2 whole body days in the preseason and slowly building you up over the year. And we have that upper body extras. So I have the upper body extras as well previously for the squads that I've worked with. And I try to keep it short and sharp, so maximum around 30 minutes. Is that something similar to you, or would you have it a bit longer or a bit shorter?
No, I agree. I think you've got that probably there. Sometimes, like we've got currently in the preseason, that extra upper body session that they do set up on the Saturday. a lot of the time, what you actually want to do is also, it's not just about getting bigger and stronger. It's replicating some soreness and damage and getting used to that type of stuff so that you're prepared for your Saturday, for when you start playing, that you're actually used to feeling that little bit sore on that Saturday. So sometimes it's not just from a strength and power point of view, but it's actually replicating some soreness. Yeah, with your extras, like to get a full upper body session done, yeah, if you can get it done in under 40 minutes, sometimes half an hour, I think if you've lifted already a couple of times that week where you've had some, a couple of upper body sessions, that's more than enough. And it's also, I understand it when people start running a lot of the time, like they do have a bit of loss of size. So it just maintains that. And you've got to think back, why do we do a lot of strength training for size? We're probably trying to get people to be 5 to 7 kilos heavier than they naturally are, right? So that's what we're doing. Everyone has its sort of a natural weight. We're just trying to add another 5 to 7 kilos, and depending on the person, from their natural weight, so that they can be, when they're running, say, 10 meters really fast, they can be slightly heavier, so they have more momentum for contact. Okay, that's what we're trying to do, really. That's the whole idea of size. And once you start going too big from someone's natural size, you actually start interfering with their ability to play rugby well.
So speaking about that sort of damage that you want to have, or getting used to being a bit sore.
Soreness.
Yeah, the soreness. What are some things that you like to do in the gym? So I'm sort of leaning towards your boulder routines as we know it, and which you introduced me quite a while ago.
Yeah, so some things are just a little bit more hypertrophy based, some more endurance and some drop sets type of stuff. Just some even little pumps, so some endurance type of work. And also, it's not just push pull, vertical push pull. It's unusual positions like your 3-way raises, and you can do that with chains, like plate complexes. Getting strong in all these awkward, weird positions as well. So it's not you can't just run out of a gym in rugby and go, you run at me push pull this way. You've got to have strength in all different weird angles as well. That creates a lot of stability and able to fight through that. So the idea is, trying to get a little bit more armor usually around your shoulder complex, so that you can, when you're making tackles, it's not bone on bone. It's a bit of muscle before the bone when you're making a tackle.
Totally agree. So moving on. So one thing with athletes is probably maybe favoring one piece of equipment over the other. So a barbell to a dumbbell. What do you think the main benefits are for both? And is one better than the other, or it's sort of even? And just sort of going off that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, and this is how I'm skewed. I'm actually skewed to, if you can get them into dumbbells, get them into dumbbells at some point, but mixing it up. Barbells are great for learning, and you can actually get really, really good strength scores from it, right? Because you've got both arms. You're not really lacking from stability because you've got both arms integrating in the same movement. And they're a great learning tool, and they're really good for that type of thing. Once you get down to dumbbells, like you've got individual shoulders operating independently, and then it creates a lot more effort on the muscles around your joint to stabilize, to display strength. So it becomes a lot more like the real environment. When you're palming, you don't have two arms palming. You've got the single arm bang. You've got a whole lot of cross bracing in your core at the same time as you're making that movement. So it starts getting down that area. Also, dumbbells probably move a little bit more in a natural plane as well. And if people do have anterior pain, you can, instead of having your elbows up high, you can bring them in close. So it goes from that. But each has its strength and weaknesses. There's none that are bad. It's just you've got to have a balance and change it up quite regularly around that. What's your view on barbells versus dumbbells?
Yeah, I think, again, I agree. Just making sure that you know what the benefits are and what are the sort of weaknesses are of using barbells versus dumbbells. It's just depending what sort of movement variations you want to do. But I probably like dumbbells a bit more. At my previous team, unfortunately, we only had a very select few of dumbbells. So sometimes you would jump from 20 to 25, and it can be very hard as well in that club setting when you don't have as many dumbbells. So that's where the barbell comes in handy. But I remember there's been quite a few blocks where we didn't use the barbell, say for bench pressing, and we just use dumbbells for pressing and just all the different variations. So you're just normal flat bench, you're alternating, your incline alternating, and single arm work. And the rugby athletes got stronger in their bench, and we didn't touch a barbell for 8-10 weeks. And the boys were just saying, "Oh, I'm a bit nervous to see how much I can lift with the barbell because we haven't touched the barbell." I'm like, "You'll be fine. You're much stronger." And then their scores, they were beating their previous scores by quite a bit, and it was really impressive for them to see that the dumbbells were actually really, really beneficial in that way. So I would say I like dumbbells majority of the time, just because it challenges them a bit more. But obviously barbell does have its place as well, to really maximize that strength and power.
Yeah. And look, there's certain exercises you're looking at, push presses and so forth, bench presses using bands and throwing and stuff where you know barbell's better. But yeah, it's interesting you've seen that. I've seen that a lot as well. You think of why is that happening, and just theory or chucking out ideas here would be you're taking something on like, but dumbbells are a lot more complicated, a lot more stabilization required. You go back to a barbell, it's a simpler, easier, less hard exercise with less demand from a coordination point of view. So it is easier. That's probably why you're seeing that strength as well, because you've made joints a lot more stable and a lot more coordinated, which is our ultimate goal. It's not just strength and size, it's actually adding to the coordination of an athlete as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. So how important is programming biceps and triceps into your programming? It's the big question.
Put them in there. Yeah, but look, I like to put them, think of, if your proper programming is you've made a muffin, right? Then you've put a little bit of icing on that muffin with all your prehab and all of that flexibility work. What you're doing is biceps and triceps, you're getting a little cherry or a little raspberry or something, putting on top of the muffin to make it look good. That's all it's there for.
Sprinkles.
Okay? Yeah, but I have seen people that you think that have actually had say the dislocated elbows or hyperextended elbows before, and they do need bicep and tricep and rotation work in the elbow to actually come back. So there can be some rehab involved in bicep and tricep. And look, there's nothing wrong with the little finishes at the end. I don't mind that at all. That's but it's if you're chin upping, and doing a whole lot of weight, your biceps are involved. If you've done it all rowing and they are. But if you need to look good in a singlet, to feel good, whack them on, put a little cherry on top of at the end of your baking your muffin.
Yeah, totally. For me, it was exact same. But I would always allow my athletes to pick their own exercises as well, just to add a bit of fun. So it's not just me picking the exercise all the time. It's getting them to pick something that they enjoy, do it. I would pick the sets and reps, so they're not just doing 1,000 bicep curls and neglecting their triceps, or vice versa. So I'll definitely make sure there's a nice little even ratio for that. But if you were to pick a bicep and tricep exercise for your team, what would your go-to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm more like you, like young people particularly have PhDs in bicep and tricep exercises, while I'm semi-interested. I'd probably go down like some type of push down for the tricep. I don't mind. You can go to independent skull crushers, like independent dumbbells, or some type of dumbbell curl. Again, getting each arm to operate independently of each other, and getting those natural movements in there, so that you're not forcing, particularly if you do bicep curls on barbell, sometimes you're forcing your body into positions it doesn't like. sometimes. Yeah.
Totally. I'd have to say getting the TRX out and doing a superset on that. So getting those high curls up and then turning around and doing skull crushes on the TRX. That's just using your body weight and working the different angles. That is just challenging in itself, and it's a lot harder compared to just doing a barbell or a dumbbell. So definitely give that a go
So
if you haven't already.
timing it, there's probably 3 minutes we're talking about. That's probably 1.5 minutes too long.
Yeah, maybe.
I like your exercises though. Do it in the park.
Yeah. So what? Sort of wrapping it up now. What are some names that you like to do when training shoulders and arms? Because I got some funny ones, but is there any type of things that you like to call them?
Yeah, well, it's going to be for your shoulders, boulders. Yeah, trying to turn them into big boulders.
Yeah,
Everyone calls them
building
guns,
boulders.
but
Building boulders.
building boulders. Yeah. Even like some type of complex, like to give people complexes about their upper body. I mean, complexes to do on their upper body. So. No, I haven't got too many names. What have you got?
I think the best one I got from was Oregon SandC coach. She calls them filling the sleeves. Really like that one. Or one that I thought of last night was turning tees into tanks. So you got your t-shirt and we're turning into tank tops, or turning hills into mountains. Just some funny things like that. So all the athletes out there, if you're copping some smack about training arms, just say, hey, I'm just building boulders and I'm just trying to fill these sleeves, so I can look good in the photos and look good on film.
I know. Yeah, sort of in the elite setting, I used to say, come on, guys, you've got to work hard. We need some more supplement sponsors. We need some more money out of our sponsors. So your arms really help.
Yes, they do. So I just want to thank everyone for listening and watching today for episode 3. So remember to like and subscribe to Elite Rugby SandC on our YouTube page, and also follow us on Instagram. If you haven't already, do sign up to become a beast today via the link in the description. And don't wait, make a good decision and join the Elite Rugby SandC program and take your game to the next level. So I just want to say thank you for everyone, and thank you, Ben, as well.
Yeah, thanks. And if you do like it, just share it with some people you know as well. Happy for you to put it on whatever social media, or even email the old school if you really want to. Thanks, Kieren. Really enjoyed that. Thanks for catching up, mate.
Catch you later.